What if the smallest piece of evidence is the one detail that changes everything? A single black glove found near Nancy's Arizona home, containing DNA, and according to the FBI, it appears to match the gloves worn by the masked person seen on security video the night she disappeared. Tonight, we break down exactly what this means and what it doesn't. Because while this discovery could be a major breakthrough, it also raises new questions that investigators still haven't answered. If you've been following this case, you already know it has gripped national attention. An elderly woman vanishes from her home in Arizona. Surveillance footage captures a masked figure. No immediate arrests, no confirmed suspects, just uncertainty. And then a glove. Let's slow down and walk through this carefully. According to federal investigators, the glove was recovered near Nancy's residence. Authorities say it contains DNA. More importantly, the glove appears consistent with the ones worn by the masked individual captured on security footage the night she disappeared. That wording matters. Appears to match. Not confirmed as belonging to the suspect. Not confirmed as a DNA hit in a national database, but potentially connected. And in a case like this, potential is everything. Now here's why this detail is significant. Up until this point, much of the public information centered around video footage. A masked person dressed in dark clothing seen near the property. Surveillance images can suggest presence. They can suggest movement, but they cannot confirm identity. DNA can, or at least, it can narrow the field dramatically. The question is, has it? As of now, investigators have not announced a confirmed match in any criminal database. That means either testing is ongoing, the profile does not match someone already in the system, or authorities are withholding details. And that opens the first major question. If the DNA belongs to the masked individual, who is that person? Was this someone known to Nancy? A targeted incident? Or something else entirely? Pause for a moment and think about this. If you believe this glove leads to an arrest soon, type yes in the comments. If you think there's still too much missing, type NO. Because this case is balanced right on that line between breakthrough and mystery. Let's talk about location. Reports indicate the glove was found near the home, not miles away in another city, not weeks later across state lines. It was discovered within proximity of the disappearance site. That detail tightens the timeline. It suggests the item could be directly linked to events that night. But here's another question. If the suspect dropped the glove, was it accidental or intentional? Criminal behavior analysts often point out that mistakes under stress are common. Adrenaline, darkness, urgency. But some suspects also plant or discard items deliberately. And until DNA results are fully confirmed and publicly clarified, both interpretations remain possibilities. What investigators believed at first may have centered on video. What this glove introduces is physical forensic evidence. And those two forms of evidence together can dramatically reshape an investigation. But let's be clear about something important. The FBI has not announced an arrest. They have not publicly named a suspect. They have not confirmed a DNA match to a specific individual. So while headlines may say breakthrough, the responsible interpretation is this. This is a promising lead, not a solved case. And that distinction matters, because in high-profile investigations, public excitement can sometimes outpace confirmed facts. Now let's consider timing. The glove was not immediately announced the night of the disappearance. Its discovery and testing came as part of ongoing investigative work. That suggests law enforcement is actively processing evidence, not sitting idle. It also suggests that more may still be under analysis, which leads to another question. If this glove contains usable DNA, how long before results are finalized? Modern forensic labs can process samples quickly in urgent cases, but database comparisons, verification, and legal standards take time. And sometimes, investigators delay public announcements strategically. Why? Because releasing too much too soon can alert a suspect, can compromise interviews, can influence witness testimony. So here's something to consider. What investigators are saying publicly may only represent a portion of what they know privately. Do you think authorities already know more than they're sharing? Comment below. Now let's return to the surveillance footage. The masked figure reportedly wore dark clothing and gloves. The glove found appears visually consistent with what that individual was wearing. That visual consistency strengthens the connection, but it does not confirm ownership. Clothing items like black gloves are common, so the DNA becomes the critical factor. And here's where the stakes rise. If the DNA matches someone in the national database, investigators could move swiftly. If it does not, then the case becomes more complex. Because an unknown DNA profile means either the individual has no prior record, or their DNA is not in Cody's, or the sample is partial and inconclusive. Each scenario leads to different investigative paths, and that's where things become unpredictable. Let's zoom out for a moment. Cases involving elderly victims often generate intense public concern. Community safety questions arise. People want reassurance. They want closure. But investigations move at the pace of evidence, not emotion. And right now, the evidence appears to be developing. The glove introduces something new, a tangible link between the video and physical proof. But it also introduces uncertainty. What if the DNA belongs to someone unrelated? What if it's contaminated? What if it leads to someone with an explanation? These are not accusations. They are investigative possibilities. And responsible coverage means acknowledging that complexity. Now think about motive. Authorities have not publicly confirmed a motive. Was this a burglary attempt? Was Nancy specifically targeted? Was the masked individual alone? Every one of those questions remains unanswered, and motive often determines urgency. If investigators believe this was random, public warnings may increase. If they believe it was targeted, the focus narrows. Which direction this case leans is still unclear. That uncertainty is what keeps audiences watching and communities concerned. But here's something important. While public speculation grows, investigators rely on evidence thresholds. DNA alone does not equal guilt. It equals presence or possible contact. Context matters. Timeline matters. Corroboration matters. So if this glove becomes central to the case, we may see additional evidence surface to support it. Phone data, vehicle footage, witness accounts, digital records. Breakthroughs rarely happen in isolation. They build in layers, which means this glove could be the first visible crack in a much larger reveal. Or it could be one step in a longer process. And that's the tension. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, take a moment to like the video. It helps these updates reach more viewers who want fact-based coverage. Now let's address the reward. Authorities have increased the reward for information in this case. That typically signals two things. One, they want fresh tips. Two, they believe someone out there knows something. Rewards often trigger movement in stalled investigations, but they can also signal that law enforcement needs public cooperation, which raises another possibility. Could this glove evidence be shared publicly to encourage someone to come forward? Sometimes investigators release specific details to apply pressure. If someone recognizes the glove, the clothing, the behavior, can shift the case dramatically, and pressure can lead to mistakes. So here we are, a black glove, DNA inside, a visual match to a masked figure. No arrest yet, no confirmed identity publicly named, but momentum building. The biggest question now is simple. Will this DNA produce a name? And if it does, what happens next? Because identification is only step one. Prosecutable evidence requires linkage beyond reasonable doubt, and that takes time. Before we close, I want you to think about something. Cases often pivot on small details. A fiber, a footprint, a phone ping, now a glove. If you had to guess, do you think this is the turning point, or just another chapter? Let me know below. As we continue to monitor updates, we'll focus only on confirmed developments, not rumor, not speculation. Because in cases like this, clarity matters, and so does patience. For now, the glove stands as the most concrete physical clue publicly acknowledged. Whether it becomes the key to solving Nancy's disappearance, remains to be seen. Subscribe and turn on notifications for verified updates as this story develops, because the next announcement, whenever it comes, could change everything. And when it does, we'll break it down carefully, fact by fact. Until then, the question remains, who does the DNA belong to? And how close are investigators to answering that?